Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast. I am your host, Nick McDaniel. If you've been following the network at all, you know it's Great Southern 8 Week, man. Pro Wrestling Ego's putting on a huge tournament out in Jackson, Mississippi, November the 11th. And we've just been rolling the stars through. They brought in 8, and I say again, 8 of the top guys in the indie circuit right now. You're not going to find any more depth of talent than you're going to find in this tournament. And man, we're going to talk about a name everybody's going to recognize. Today, man, I'm joined by none other than Brady Pierce. How's it going, Brady?
What's up, man? I'm doing very well. How are you doing today?
Man, I am doing spectacular. We've been having an absolute thrill, man, going through you guys on this tournament. This tournament is crazy deep.
Heck yeah, it's stacked from the top to bottom, man. It's crazy how many, great guys are out there. And to think that he picked 8 of the best guys in each state to go one-on-one, head to head in this tournament to pick the king of the Southeast, so to say. And man, it's going to be a spectacle, man. If you're, around the area and you miss the show, then, I don't know what to say to you. It doesn't get much better than this.
I 100% agree with you, man. I'm based out of Atlanta, and I'm actually looking at my calendar going, I think I can make this trip. It's only
exactly. Yeah, well, it's only a couple hours, down the road.
It's 6 hours. Hey,
you've done worse, right?
I've done 21 hours to Colorado for a show, so I think I can do 6 to see this one, right?
Exactly. Find your little partner to jump in the car with you and share the hours. 3 one way and 3 the other way.
Yep. That's doing the drive, right? That's the old saying.
That's it. That's it.
But before we dive too deep in this tournament, man, I want to let the world know. Brady Pierce is a name that's out there. It's not something that, people aren't sleeping on Brady Pierce. They know who you are. You've hit the nation and you've hit international, man. You've traveled all over the world for that matter. Let's take a step back before we dive into this tournament, and let's let everybody know who is Brady Pierce and, why should they be looking out for him in this tournament?
Well, yeah, so let us back up. So let's just say you haven't heard of me. You don't know who Brady Pierce is. Well, Brady Pierce is 6'5". He weighs in at 240 pounds. And mind you, he's 26 years old. I've been at this for 7 years now, actually of this month. October 10th, 2011 was, the first year in. And started training when I was 19. And so I consider myself right now, in the prime of my career at 26. So, got a good early start. And yeah, I started training in a small town in South Carolina, in Orangeburg. And I've always been interested in the professional wrestling business growing up as a kid. And I know that's a generic, answer to that question when people always ask you, what got you into professional wrestling? And the generic answer is, I watched it, growing up as a kid, which is true. I 100% did. But what a lot of people don't know is that my father was an actual wrestler, in his time too. He done the indies around South Carolina as well. So I grew up around it, from the time I was born until the time, I was around 10 or 11 is when he finally got out of the business. So I remember going to the shows, even as, just a toddler running around, jumping in the ring, them having to fight me out of the ring because I'm not supposed to be in there. But, so yeah, I've been around it. And by the time, I was in my teens, I kind of figured, this is what I wanted to give a shot at, when I became the age, because in South Carolina, you have to be of age of 18 to even be able to compete because of the state commission. So, when I turned 19, I attended the show in Orangeburg, South Carolina, which is CWA Pro Wrestling. Roger Gleaton is over that company. And I enjoyed the show. I liked everything that was going on. And I figured, no better time than now to, try it out. So my dad, actually, I can give him credit for getting this all started. He contacted Roger and I told him, my son is interested in this, and gave him all my stats. Because I've always been a big kid per se. I've always been tall, always had good size. So, Roger was, more than willing to train me. So we went that route for a couple months, and, I went the ins and outs through there. And had my first match in October, and things were going well, but I knew if I really wanted to make a career out of this, then I'm going to have to push it even further than Orangeburg, and started wrestling around local shows around South Carolina, including Orangeburg, Chester, South Carolina, Columbia, South Carolina, just around the the local area, and got familiar with the scene around here. I met some good guys, and I came across this one guy. Many of you know, I'm pretty sure all of you know if you listen to the podcast. His name is Lodi. I met Lodi, and me and Lodi hit it off right off the bat. And this was about the time Lodi had just started training a couple people at High Spots. And word had gotten around. He wasn't really opening the school for everybody. It was just like a one, person thing, and then another person joined. So it was very, how do I say, not open to just the general public. It was like Lodi invited you to come, work out with him. And, I saw this as a perfect opportunity to sharpen my skills and get more travel under my belt. So Lodi invited me up one Tuesday, of the week, some random week. I'm not sure when exactly it was, but I made the drive up to Charlotte. I took a 2-hour session with Lodi, and I can swear to you that I learned more in that 2 hours of that training session than I had within that past year of doing the local traveling and all that stuff. Lodi's very smart to the business. He knows it. And now to this day, Lodi has been, basically a second father to me. He's always looked out for me, done the right thing by me. He's gotten a lot of, the opportunities that I've been able to receive early on in my career was because of him. So I can really say I owe a lot to Lodi. So Lodi, if you're listening to this, I really appreciate everything you've done, helping me and getting me to where I am today. And, getting me to where I am representing South Carolina in the Great Southern 8 tournament.
Well, let me plug it in right there because you brought it up again. Guys, we're talking about this tournament. It's the Great Southern 8, November the 11th in Jackson, Mississippi at the Hideaway. Doors open at 6, bell time's at 7. Tickets start at, you can get an adult ticket for $10. I mean, it doesn't get much better,
No better than that. I mean, I'm so excited, and I'm competing in this thing, and I know not much can change the excitement of actually doing this and competing in it. But as the general fan, I look at the stat card from top to bottom, and it's unbelievable, man. I'm super ecstatic about this show right here. I really am. Training every day. One of my philosophies is, you always stay ready. And anyone that knows me, knows my background, they've never seen me out of shape. I've always been in shape. I'll always tip-top condition. But, man, when I got the contact that I was being, picked, hand-chosen to represent South Carolina in this tournament, I was like, man, you know what? It's time to turn it up into a higher gear. These guys are coming. I'm sure they're working extra hard right now, too. They're doing the intense workouts, stepping their game up, training in the ring. They're doing everything, the whole 9 yards. So, I even stepped my game up, and I'm like, I'm going to really bring this thing.
And let me ask you about that, because you're talking about training, and I will tell you that one of the first things when I saw you the first time, I was talking with another competitor that's actually in this, tournament with you, and his quote about you was, if you were to build a wrestler and what they're supposed to look like, Brady Pierce is that. That's what he is. And, and now, cause you're talking about training, and that's kind of something that you do is, training. Cause I want to ask you, you got to think about the cardio that you're going to have to be, and the ring shape you're going to have to be in, cause you're going to have to win 3 matches to get through this tournament. Yeah, it's not a one and done. You got to beat 3 of the, and we've already talked about the depth. So, I mean, come on, let's talk, about, you're talking about the training and all that. Kind of let everybody behind the scenes about that, your hardcore training, and to look and, be in the shape you are.
So basically, man, right now I'm training twice daily. I'll go through an intense, weight sessions earlier on during the day. That usually comes anywhere between 5 in the morning to about 9 in the morning, anywhere I can get that in. And then about 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoons, I'll start my cardio sessions in the afternoon, which consists of a lot of high intensity interval training which is basically just a quick example of that. You'll do 30 seconds worth of intense work, and then you'll take 30 seconds off. So just say let's say I have a sled. Okay. So just another good example is you'll push that sled as hard and as fast as you can for that 30 seconds, and then you'll take a 30 seconds off, and then the next 30 seconds, then when that clock strikes, you're going to go again and give it all you have. I mean, you literally leave it all on the on the line there. But I found that type of training to be the best for what we do in the ring, because if you think about what we're doing in there, you're running at one moment, you're having to pick over 200-pound guys up in the air, flip them around, do all this stuff, and that style of training prepares me to go the extra mile. As we said earlier, is 3 matches that I'm going to have to win in this thing to become victorious. So, and this is the things I think about when I'm ready to give up and training. Like, there's, I got a whole nother round. I'm like, I just don't think I can do it. And I'm like, you know what? I got to. I got 3 rounds. I gotta beat these guys coming up. And I know they're going to be ready for me. You can't underestimate anything whatsoever going into something this big, because, the opportunities like this don't come around too often. You're not going to get a second chance at this. So you got to make the most of it right now.
I 100% agree. That's kind of been the theme that I'm hearing from everybody, is that the Great Southern Eight it's an opportunity for you to make an impact and make a statement. And it's going to be something you can carry around, bragging rights that you're the best.
Absolutely.
And that's, like I said, seems to be a theme.
Speaking of, and since you brought up the best, be completely honest with you, I feel like going into this thing that I am the best. I don't say that to be cocky or arrogant in any type of way, but that's how I feel. That's how I operate on a daily basis. I go in the gym. It doesn't matter who's in the gym. I'm going to beat everybody in there. That's my mentality. When I go in there, if you're doing this for 30 seconds, well, guess what, buddy? I'm going to do this for 35 seconds. If you do it for 35, well, you know what? I got to go 40 because you're doing it for 35. I'm going to beat you. It doesn't matter what it takes to do it. So that's my mentality. So without a doubt, going into this thing, I feel like, man, I'm going to be the guy to beat. If you beat me, then, you obviously worked harder than me. And I don't say that often because it's not often that it happens that way.
Well, your reputation does precede itself, obviously. I mean, you're not just I know it's the Great Southern Eight, but you've traveled, and we said we were going to come back to this. You've been across the country. You've been to Australia. I mean, your name's something that's been around, and it's not just bundled into the South.
Exactly.
Give a little bit of the, because like I said, I know we talked off air a little bit about Australia and all the other travels you've made, that you've made an impact actually across the globe, not just in the South.
Right. Yeah, man. Going back to the training, I started, making my debuts in these other states as soon as I met Lodi. He had connections up north in Pennsylvania with these couple shows up there. So right off then, I was a couple years into the business, probably 2 years at most. I was making drives to, Pennsylvania, down to, I made a drive to Texas. Doing the drives, you've heard of the expressions, you have to do it in order to succeed. So, I mean, the East Coast, I've traveled it all the way from New York down to Florida multiple times, every state in between, all the way up to the Chicago area. I've done a lot of work for Resistance Pro back when Billy Corgan was a part of Resistance. So I've been in the Midwest a lot, all the way up to Minneapolis, Minnesota, all the way, different places, man, all over the country. I haven't been to California yet. That's one of my upcoming, places to get to. But, last March, I spent 1 month in Australia, in Melbourne, Australia, as a matter of fact. And, I was there for a month and I competed in 8 matches. Yeah, 8 matches in 8 different companies. So, yeah, man, I took it by storm once I figured out, I had the opportunity to go over there. Now that I'm over here for this, this company, I'm going to find as many places while I'm over here and make the most, the biggest opportunity out of one opportunity, if that makes sense. So while I'm there, I'm going to really kill this thing and get my name in Australia now. And I went over, done that, stayed in this awesome school over there, was able to train every single day, day in, day out, work the weekends, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, go back to training Monday, and just, living that lifestyle. And you know what, I learned a lot from that too, is just, the amount of work that it takes if you want to make it to that next level, because, I don't think guys really understand, when they get to the WWE level or any level that they're particularly wanting to get to, then the work, like, the work doesn't stop. It gets harder once you get there. Like, if you ever are lucky enough to, be signed by these big companies like WWE, then you're in a ring every single day. You're training every single day. So this job definitely isn't for a week. And I think that Australia trip over there is what, I needed to, like, say, you know what, man, this is, 100% what I wanted to do. Like, I get to wake up every day and just do nothing but think about wrestling. It's the life. It really is. And I think one of the biggest things that I want to, work on coming up next, is getting myself to Japan and doing the whole dojo thing and doing that whole deal there too, to kind of even further my my resume, if you will. But yeah, man, I'm trying to, I'm trying to do everything. I mean, but why not? I'm 26. I'm able to. So anything I can add to that resume, that's what I'm going to do.
Well, yeah, I had the pleasure of sitting in on a seminar, and it was somebody who was there for quite a long time in the WWE. And one of his big things was, you're never going to make it until you've done international, because you haven't lived the lifestyle until you've done international. It's kind of it's a kind of a mandatory thing. And I mean, the like I said, the opportunity that you had, to learn, and, Australia, I mean, how was that crowd? I'm just curious, because I know back in the day that was a big WCW, NWA kind of a stomping grounds they would go over there and do.
And it's the same. When I went over there, I was surprised, like, the people. And the thing about Australia is there's not much wrestling over there. So any wrestling that they do get, the people flock to, because there's not as much, right? So one of the biggest shows I worked while I was over there was MCW, Melbourne City Wrestling. And it was the first night I literally got off the plane after flying 20-plus hours. And 2 hours later, I'm in the ring working a JXT. If you're not familiar with him, please look JXT up on any type of social media. Watch his matches. Got kids, great. He's going places as well. But I got the opportunity to work him at MCW. And, man, we put on what I call a really good, a good bout between us two. But, yeah, man, that MCW crowd, yeah, they were really into it all night long, every match. The crowd never, died down. It was just, pandemonium the whole time, So I can, say that I really believe that's because they don't have as much to choose from there as, we do here in America. We're, it's almost, you can find a good show anywhere every weekend. As to over there, I had to really time my trip over there the perfect, time to catch all these shows, because they usually don't run that way, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. We here in the States, we're spoiled. Absolutely. With the amount of the talent that's out there.
Yeah, I mean, wrestling, everywhere. I mean, especially the good guys that's coming up now. I mean, I'm hearing them left and right, these guys that, are making waves in the indie wrestling, and, it's an exciting time. Definitely for the whole wrestling in general.
I mean, especially, like I said, you're talking about all the talent, and we come right back to the,
exactly
Pro Wrestling Ego,
exactly.
Great Southern 8. They're rolling in 8 guys. I mean, the talent, top chart stuff. November the 11th in Jackson, Mississippi. Tickets, like I said, start at $10 for adults. And I mean, here's the crazy part: 5 to 12 is $6. Kids 4 and under are just free. Period.
Free
for 4 and under.
Man.
So if you've got little kids, bring them. You're not going to have to pay for them.
Exactly.
I mean, so that's the insane part. You know, I and plus on top of that, I told somebody, if I told you you could watch Brady Pierce wrestle 3 times in one night for $10,
that's a steal.
That's a steal.
That's a steal. I mean, why would you not?
I agree with you there.
Yeah, why would you not?
But I'm going to come back and backpedal. I want to ask you again something that you mentioned. You know, you want to go to Japan. That seems to be a trend I hear, and I mean a lot, that everybody wants to go to Japan. What's the allure of Japan for you?
Well, I think honestly that's where you really cut your teeth, so to speak. You could do a lot of it here, but it isn't till you get over there and really endure that type of schedule. Now, give me when I was in Australia, you know, I was doing the lifestyle and everything, but over there, I don't know, man. It's just a different vibe, and I think learning that style of wrestling is gonna, you know, broaden the horizon of things that I can do. You know what I mean? Like if I go to the next level, it's not okay. Well, Brady Pierce is a big guy; he can do big guy stuff. You know, I don't want to just be that. I want to go in there and I want to do, you know, the things it takes to beat anyone at any time. You know, because what's going to happen if, you know, I get to WWE and sure, I'm a big guy, but if I get put in the ring with guys like Braun Strowman, okay, well, that doesn't work for me anymore. I got to do something else, you know? So I think that's one of the biggest, you know, draws to going overseas and working somewhere like Japan is because they work such a different style and you can learn all these different things that you could do to apply when you get back to the States, if that makes sense. Whereas in Australia, things were kind of the same. They flowed the same. There's a few things different, but not as much as, you know, a market like Japan. So I think that's one of the biggest draws is why wrestlers, you know, that's one of their main things they want to accomplish within a career.
And like I said, we hear it all the time. And when we ask guys like, you know, I'll go ahead and say, one of the guys in the tournament, O'Shea Edwards, has mentioned that's his dream. That's where he wants to end up. He's like, I want to end up in Japan.
Yeah. Absolutely, and for a lot of guys, that is. I mean, who would not? You know, if you could score a job with New Japan, you know, you'd be crazy to pass that up. Just saying. So, yeah, dude, it's unbelievable over there, and that, you know, 2 good friends of mine just had the opportunity to go over there, and the Heat Seekers. I'm sure you're probably familiar with those guys, but.
Yep.
Yeah, they just had the opportunity to go over there, and I had yet to talk to them about it. But, you know, first opportunity I can, I'm going to have to dig into that and see how that went for them. But super proud of those guys, man.
And, you know, one of the things when you're kind of talking about that, you know, picking up all the different styles, picking up just, you know, even how to work different styles of matches, you know, depending on who you're facing, it's kind of pieced together with something you told, you know, earlier. You were saying that, you know, you've been in the business now. And, you know, there's this guy, I don't know if you've heard of him. His name is Steve Austin. He always says,
who's that?
Yeah, who's that, right? He always says that magic number's somewhere around year 7 when the light bulb goes off.
Yeah.
You know, and you start, you stop overthinking what you're doing, and it just kind of, you can start, I think his words were, you can start hearing the crowd. You're not thinking about it. So, and having all those tools to work with, and here's the crazy thing, you've said it, you're there at a very young age. So you've got a huge window to make that run. I mean, tell me about that. Cause like I said, you know, are you there? Do you feel that you're there yet where that light bulb's kicked on and or you still feel like you're right on the edge, but you just need that little something and it'll click?
No, man, I truly feel that I'm there now. I'm ready to take the ball and roll with it. It's just, for me now, I believe it's just a matter of who's going to give Brady Pierce the opportunity. That's what I believe the matter of. Because once I get that ball, I'm going to roll with it. I'm going to run with it. There's no doubt about that. But you know what? That's needless to say, I'm not expecting a handout. That's why I want to go to Japan. I want to make these other markets too and earn that spot. So I'm not expecting someone to just say, here, take it, you know. No, I believe in 100% hard work, and even though I have been working hard for the past 7 years, I do feel now that I'm at that level that if the opportunity was presented to me, then there's nobody out there that can stop me. You know what I mean? 100% stand by that. Nothing's going to change that. It doesn't matter, what the future holds. There's going to be setbacks. There's going to be, setbacks with your milestones. You're gonna accomplish things, and then you're gonna get knocked back 100 yards. But it's not about getting knocked back 100 yards. It's making that 150-yard gain. You know what I mean?
100%.
Always moving forward.
Yes, and like I said, you were talking about opportunity, so let's go ahead and roll into it, man. The great Southern Eight. Yeah, here we are. Yeah. Pro Wrestling Ego. Like I said, November the 11th. Bell time's at 7. Get there at 6 to get your seats, guys, because trust me, it's going to be a packed house for a $10 ticket.
Well, yeah, I mean, you think about it. You've got 8 guys from 8 different, states. So you put that in perspective now. If you're thinking that you can get there at the last minute for bell time to get a seat in this place, you're thinking wrong, because you have 8 different states that's drawing people to one place. You know what I mean? Like, these guys, they're the best in their states. They have their followers, and they're bringing them with them because they want to see their guy win. So, I mean, you have to be there. I mean, you got to get there early.
Yeah, absolutely. I always tell people, like I said, we're heading in. Hopefully we're going to head out that morning maybe and get there in time. We're crossing our fingers. We may have to get a hotel and come out, and stay the night before so we don't miss it. But
without a doubt.
Yeah, but you're right. Let's go ahead and, and I know we talked a little bit about, you've got some familiarity with some of the guys, some not so much, but that's kind of my thing. That means they're pulling them from all over the country, man. They're
exactly.
Obviously, let's go ahead, throw it out there. I spoke to Jay, with that interview aired on Sunday, and he put it, everybody in Vegas, and I want your take on it, because I'm going to tell you what the word on the street is. They're all trying to say that the man to beat in the tournament is the hometown guy himself, Ray Fury.
Well, I'm going to go back to what I said earlier. I don't feel that's the case. I feel like the man to beat is going to be me, Brady Pierce. The reason why I said that is because 100% I stand by me. I believe I'm the best at whatever I am doing at the moment. And right now I am training for this great Southern 8 tournament to be the best. So without a doubt, when I go into this thing, I'm the best. I'm the guy to beat. And no one can say will ever change that.
And, the guys that are saying they're trying to make the most noise, you got the big powerhouses. I mean, there's 3 other ones in there. We've got the young kid out of Texas, Bam Bam Malone. I don't know if you've come across him, but he's a big swinger. But the 2 big guns, man, is the brawlers of the bunch, as they like to say, is you've got the guy out of North Carolina, which I know you're familiar with, Mr. Scotty Matthews.
I am familiar with Scotty.
And then the other one's Big O'Shea Edwards out of Georgia, who I'm pretty familiar with. But, what's your history with Scotty? I know you've got a little bit with him.
So it's interesting, actually. So Scotty Matthews is tag team partners with my trainer Lodi. So that's how I originally know Scotty. Me and Scotty have went to bouts a couple of times in matches. I don't think we've ever met one-on-one, though. Everything's been tag team wise. Me versus him with another partner. So this, a lot of respect for Scotty. I mean, he's, another guy. He's pretty much been everywhere also. So, you can't knock that. But one thing I will say about Scotty that I have over Scotty is age. I'm in my prime. I don't know if I can really say about that for Scotty. I'm in the prime of my career, and I think that's going to give me the advantage over Scotty Matthews. And just the training that I do, yeah, I don't believe, like I said, I don't believe anyone, is going to be ready come November 11th.
Well, let's go to a little guy, somebody else in this tournament who's got a little bit of history in wrestling. And I know you are familiar with Eric Wayne. I mean, born into this business just kind of like but his 3rd generation guy. So he probably was doing headlocks, before he could crawl, kind of thing. So, what do you know about Eric Wayne, and what do you think his chances are?
Man, Eric Wayne is a name that I'm very familiar with. I do not think I've ever worked on a show with Eric before, so I'm not too familiar with his work as far as other things that I've seen out there on the internet. That being said, I think Eric Wayne is going to be a tough competition to beat just because of the fact that, you know, he's one of those guys that, man, he's been doing it a while. I've heard about him, you know, from countless people. So his name is out there. So off the bat, that tells me he's a threat. But with that being said, I mean, these guys were hand selected, you know. So to think that any of these guys would not be a threat would be a mistake on my part. So don't think at all that I'm taking any of these guys lightly. That's not the case at all. But the thing I'm saying here is with Eric and guys like Scotty, I'm very familiar, you know, the things that they've done, things that I've heard. So I'm taking that as what I'm perceiving off of that. So yeah, I don't think, you know, I'm sticking by that. You know, I think the Great Southern 8 tournament is mine. At the end of the day, I'm going to be leaving, you know, November 11th with that, you know, that crown on top of, you know.
I mean, I got to ask you too, another take that I was curious, you know, I've asked a lot of the other guys, like, what kind of, you know, when you're preparing for this, like I said, it's kind of hard. It's not like you're going into a, you know, a card where you're like, you know, November the 11th, I'm wrestling this guy. It's right. You're going in and you actually have to look at all 7 other guys and kind of see what they do in preparation.
Exactly.
Even if it's guys like, you know, you have, you know, a stunt marshal out of Florida. And I was going to ask you too, the crazy thing, you know, Corey Constantine out of Louisiana, this is his big comeback from that injury. He hasn't, you know, this is it. This is his kind of, his return coming back in. How do you prepare for it? Like somebody like Corey, who's been gone for a long time, that maybe he's completely changed his game up, or a guy like Stunt Marshall out of Florida?
Well, those guys, it takes me back to what I was talking about earlier, is learning these new styles to apply here. So when I'm looking at this, I think the biggest thing is these guys will underestimate me. Okay? Now, hear me out. What I mean by that is when they see me work, or they see me just in general, they're going to say, well, okay, I've got to be faster than this guy. But what they don't know is that I train for speed. You know, I'm 6'5", I weigh 240 pounds, but I'm in the gym, you know, training like an athlete would per se, like football players, basketball players. So I'm doing speed drills every day. I'm working on my speed, working on my agility, working on my jumping power. So you know what? Like, I'm taking my game to that level. So they won't underestimate, well, this is going to be a powerhouse guy. I've got to invade him. You see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So I'm taking it to the next level per se as far as that route goes. So, you know, I think honestly that those guys will be the one to, you know, misjudge me, and I think that will backfire on them. As far as Corey goes, not too familiar with his work, honestly. And when, let's say, out of the ring, you know, like you said, he's coming back from an injury, big comeback here. Now, that's kind of scary. I'm not gonna, you know, shy away from that. That being said, that means when I go and watch, you know, film of Corey, and I see the stuff that he's doing, well, like you said earlier, I'm not sure what he's bringing to the table now. You know, like you said, he could have, you know, came back and changed his whole style up to catch everyone off guard. And, you know, that could be a threat, but it's still not going to be enough to take me down. No. But Corey may, you know, man, honestly, I might make the call right now and say it may come down to me and Corey at the, you know, for the crown.
Yeah, I'm itching to see the brackets. That's the crazy part, because I mean, there's no way to know who's facing who and how do you got to get to the finals, and who, you know, and you can't look at it and go like, well, if I, you know, when I get to the finals, this is possibly the guy that I'm facing.
Right.
Because one of the strengths that, and correct me if I'm wrong, what I'm hearing you say is you've got that ability, unlike maybe some of the other guys in the tournament, to adapt. If you get in there with a bruising powerhouse, you go speed. If you get in there with a smaller guy, you go power, and you can kind of mix and match it up. And that's the advantage you bring to the dance at the Great Southern 8.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, 100%. Nothing else about it.
And, hopefully that's a victory after a victory after a victory, and you're holding up the trophy November the 11th at the end of the Great Southern 8. Remember, guys, it's in, Jackson, Mississippi at the Hideaway. $10 for tickets 13 and up, $6 for 5 to 8 and 12. And then 4 and under, we've mentioned it several times here. It's just free. Just bring the family, man. Those kids, they can't make too much noise because that noise is encouraged at these kind of things. So it doesn't happen often.
Yeah. Yeah. Bring them on. Tell them to, be loud as possible.
Yeah. Tell them to pick their favorite guy and get behind them, no matter who it is, get rowdy. That's what I always love when the kids get into it.
Exactly. Hey, and you know what? They get rowdy at the show, and guess what? They're going to go to sleep when they get home.
You got it. I tell my kids, I say, let them get loud. That way they'll fall asleep on the way home. You'll be happy, right?
Exactly. Yep.
Well, man, 100%. We've looked at this tournament, like guy after guy in this tournament. We mentioned, Bam Bam's, he's a young kid. He's 21. I don't know if you knew that.
I did not know that.
Yeah, he's really young. He's hands down got to be the youngest guy in the tournament. Big kid out of Texas. A lot of people don't see him coming. So he's one of the ones that I'm like, we wish him the best of luck. He may be just on the, like I said, he's only been in the business a few years. But maybe it's not his time yet, but don't go to sleep on a big kid like that, right?
Exactly. And I think that's what, a lot of my opportunities early on, if you're not aware, I was the first winner of the Samuel Thompson tournament winner up in Chicago for Resistance Pro. And I think I won that when I was 22, I believe it was. And I think that's one of those things, people underestimated me and they said, this kid's not going to win. He's not experienced enough. He's not done, all this and that. And I think I caught a lot of people off guard because one of the guys that was in this tournament was Madman Pondo. And I think everyone's as familiar with Madman Pondo.
Oh, yeah.
And, yeah, I went on and won the whole thing. So, yeah, you can't really take inexperience lightly. You can't take it lightly at all. And, I don't. So, like I said earlier, I train for every single person, that's in that ring and make sure that I do my part to come in better than they are. Because one thing I can give Bam Bam is that he is younger than we are. I mean, can you agree with that? I mean,
oh yeah.
I think that that always comes into play. That the younger guy may be able to go that extra mile. You can always put that. So, man, I'm telling you, from the top to bottom of this card, it's going to be a spectacle to see.
I agree with you. Like I said, but sometimes it'll come down to youth, versus in hunger and experience, all the things wrapped into one. But somebody, November the 11th is going to hoist up that trophy and go home the Great Southern 8 tournament winner. And like I said, bragging rights are going to be on for, because you'll get to carry that thing for a year that you're the guy who walked into Pro Wrestling Ego and walked out with that trophy. And I mean, like I said, it's going to open up opportunities like you wouldn't believe down the road, I think. And I think
absolutely.
And I think that's the thing for everybody in this tournament. Everybody's hungry to get their, this is an opportunity that they can't miss. I mean, I think that's the ultimate thing in this tournament.
Yeah, and you have to be hungry for it. If you're not, why are you doing it? I mean, no one's happy just getting by. No one, everyone wants that success that wrestling can bring. So, if you're not hungry for it, what's the point of it? But I don't think that's one of, something that we're dealing with here because, like I said, I know these guys, the best that the state has to offer. Otherwise, they're not in it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, that goes without saying. These guys, they're bringing their A game to the table. I mean, 100% they are.
Well, I'm definitely sure Brady Pierce is going to bring his A game to the table for sure.
Without a doubt.
And so, hey, but as we're rolling in here, man, I don't want to take up too much of your time, but as we always do in these things, we got to let you know, hey, Brady Pierce is a star, and we don't even doubt it in the least. But if they wanted to follow all the listeners out there, if they want to follow Brady Pierce and they want to see where can I find him when he's near me, where can I go find Brady Pierce? How do they hunt you down? The social media seems to be the way to go today. So where do they find you at?
So on Instagram and Twitter, my handle is the same. It's at Brady Pierce 1. If you're looking for me on Facebook, you can like my fan page under Brady Pierce or follow me on my fan page. The other one is Brady Pierce. Do the Facebook deal, /real Brady Pierce. And that's where you can find me on Facebook. So either of those will work. If you're looking to follow me in general, though, I'd say, keep up with my Instagram. I'm very regular on there, Twitter. So, yep.
Well, man, that's awesome to hear. And most important of anything, I say this on every episode, and everybody says, why do you say it every episode? Because I think it's so important. Get out and support the indie wrestling, because the guys, when AJ Styles popped up in a podunk town in Georgia a couple of weeks ago, everybody was in an uproar.
Oh,
but
yeah.
That's about 40 minutes from my house, when that happened. And
exactly.
One of the things that he said in that ring is, you got to remember, your next Stone Cold, your next Rock, your next AJ Styles is wrestling at your indie show. You just don't know it yet.
You literally took the words out of my mouth that I was about to say. Literally off of that. So, yeah, I mean, you have to come out and see these things. If you're in the area, you see a show, go check it out,
And like we said earlier, you'll be able to sit in the crowd for $10, mind you, and you'll have a memory years from now when you say, I saw Brady Pierce wrestle when,
Exactly. Exactly. And you know what? I'm going to say this. As soon as I go out November 11th, if you're in that crowd, you're going to look at me and you're going to be like, wow, why is this guy not in WWE yet? That's what I truly feel. So,
well, we from watching your matches and the look and everything, I kind of already said that. I was like, I'm shocked he's not signed somewhere, and working his way up to that, I'm sure wherever you want to be. That's the beauty of it. And let's be honest with you, that's the great thing in wrestling right now. Everybody doesn't have to say, I want to be, WWE. You got options now, places you can go.
Yep, exactly.
So
there's options out there.
Yeah, that's why I say when Brady Pierce is wherever Brady Pierce wants to be.
Exactly.
So, and by the way, you would have said, I've seen him wrestle 3 times in one night back when, back in the day.
Exactly, yeah, exactly.
So that's
and who knows? It could be a couple weeks. It's like, wow, Brady Pierce just got signed. I just saw him wrestle 3 weeks ago. You never know. This is a crazy business we're in. So anything can happen in a matter of, I'd like to say, minutes.
Happens all the time. Happens all the time.
I live by, it's just a phone call away. You never know.
And one of the things I do, I really like about your attitude is, I've read it on Facebook and you said it, here on the show, is always be ready for your opportunities. Don't let them, don't let that opportunity be in front of you, and then you got to get ready for it.
Exactly.
Be ready, take advantage of it. And that attitude is why, I'm going to go ahead and say it. We are going to see you down the road, in bigger and better things. And, so that's kind of why I'm sitting here saying I've got to make the trip out November the 11th to Jackson, Mississippi at the Great Southern 8, have my ticket, be in the crowd and, and watch this tournament. So, but buddy.
Absolutely.
It's been a pleasure, man. It's been an honor to have you on.
Man, it's been such a great pleasure. I appreciate you having me on.
Man, that's, it's what we do. We just try to get everybody, hearing, the talent that's down, in the independent scene, getting them out there and say, look, watch this. And plus, like I said, the value you get is so much more than you're going to get. And again, I don't disrespect what they do, but when a WWE show rolls into town, it's $50 for a ticket or more, to get these tickets. Yeah. And I just told you, you could take the whole family for less than that. And you get for for one ticket. And by the way, you could walk out with a shirt of your favorite guy from the tournament that night. So let's think about it that way. So, but man, we look forward to hopefully, crossing our fingers, we can make that trip. I can meet you face to face, shake your hand, and, hopefully maybe at the end of the day, congratulating you for hoisting the trophy up.
Absolutely. It'd be a pleasure to do.
Well, buddy, we appreciate it, and hopefully we'll see you back soon.
All right. I sure appreciate you having me anytime. Let me know.
Will do. Take care, buddy.
You too.